Hello and welcome back. I'm Wrath and this is Kerbal Space Program Conflicted Space. My schedule's been a little bit difficult for me to make recordings, so in the interim time I have gone ahead and upgraded the game to version 1.0.4 and we are getting all set, and it did necessitate a few mod changes, but it looks like the game save transferred over just fine. All of the same flights are still in progress and no problems there. So we're going to go ahead and continue. I did pick up the Kerbal mod so that I could have multiple launch points. So you see the visual update with all the extra buildings out over here that are nice and interesting. Okay, so when we left off, the three major organizations of the Joint Kerbal Aerospace Association had split off. And now we're going to go ahead and start with Hexadine here, who wanted to do a mission specifically to continue the deep space probing of the other planets and their moons in the Kerbal system. So let's go ahead and switch this out here. And that would be the Hexadine Deep Space Explorer. Now this is because this was a modified version of their original exploration craft. All they did was modify the probe at the end with additional engines and capabilities to try and make it a much more long-range and sustainable craft. So with those changes, we're going to go ahead and put their flag on this, which is the Hexadine flag here. And let's go ahead and get this to a launch here. Now, let's go ahead and we're just going to launch this one right now from the KSC launch pad, because the groups haven't really fallen that far apart, so they're still able to share the Kerbal Space Center. But let's go ahead and get this one up into space in preparation. And here we go, and let's see here. Alright, so surface. Alright. And let's go ahead and throttle up. SAS on. And launch of the Deep Space Kerbal probe, designed to take the new Hexadine launch probe deep into the Kerbal system. We've already got a good launch profile. Now this rocket does tend to have an extreme amount of force behind it, so we're being very careful about how far we tilt this, but we want to get a good orbital ascent angle. And boosters have been separated. Oh, looks like we lost some parachutes on that. And this is still pushing up very, very quickly. We're going to throttle back a little bit. And as we are reaching the uppermost atmosphere, we're going to go ahead and angle this over to try and get a nice steep, or nice assist from the Oberth effect. Of course, as you can see, the whole system is heating up quite spectacularly. And we have engine cutout. Now we've got a very, very high apoapsis, so we're going to go ahead and start planning our orbital burn. No, we don't want that. We want to... No. Let's change that angle. I want to try and add a maneuver here. And we're, of course, going to do a little bit of a anti-radial. Periapsis. Alright, and that should give us a little little bit. Let's try to bring this down a little bit and bring that one up. Okay. Alright, so that gives us a fairly good orbital trajectory. So now let's go ahead and bring it around. We're going to go ahead and deploy that and activate our RCS. We need to position this onto the maneuver node very quickly. So we are, of course, getting it into position. And now again, this probe is designed for a really long haul. We're going to go ahead and disable the gimbal. And so let's go ahead and speed this up to just enough time for us to prepare for our burn. As you can see, this is actually going to take the majority of... Sorry there. This is going to take the majority of our remaining standard fuel and burn. And now that engine's going to cut out long before we've got that. And there we go. So now we are pressing on with the remainder of our liquid fuel to complete the burn. And hopefully this will establish us at least in some form of orbit. I'm not really looking for a good solid circularized orbit, because we want this craft to begin the process of slowly but surely removing its itself from the influence of Kerbin. And now the technicians at Hexadine have expected that this ship will take some time to get into position for its exit of the Kerbin system. And so we will be planning around that eventuality. And we have orbit. Alright, so now the system is ready. Let's go ahead and start planning our exit of the Kerbin system. Now let's zoom all the way out here because we want to get a look. So we're going to want to go this way in order to have the ship have maximum exit velocity from the Kerbin system. So we will go ahead and give it as much as we can. Okay, that should do it. We're going to see how well it can get through that burn as it comes around. So we will reposition. And now that we've got the cowling off, oh, I forget what they're called. Why can I never remember these things? The shell. I never remember these things. Since we've got the shell off, we can go ahead and extend these panels and prepare for our path into the sun. So let's go ahead and speed this up here. And I always got to watch that time because I start talking and I lose track of it. But we've got about a half tank of our fuel remaining, so we should be able to get at least a good push to start on this, and then we can activate the ever so fun ion engines, which will complete our burn. And here comes the dawn over the Kerbin system, and our panels have all adjusted to take on the light. And here, oops, we're gonna get that down to a minute. Okay. At 30 seconds, actually at 45 seconds, we're going to go ahead and activate the engine. And that should give us the orbital velocity we need if this can burn long enough that'll give us the orbital velocity we need to make our exit on a slow return from Kerbin. So as you can see, we're probably going to burn up the remainder of this fuel before we actually get our necessary velocity, which is a little bit sad, but we'll see. It's going to be close. Oh, we did. I managed to preserve just a little bit of fuel. And that means we will pass within 600 kilometers, 639 kilometers of the moon on its return trajectory. Oh, but no, we actually have an exit to the Kerbin system directly. So we're going to go ahead and remove this. Let's see, yep, we are fully exiting the Kerbin system, or the influence of Kerbin, rather. And we will be able to start targeting Eve as our next target. Now, obviously, since this craft is now fully on its way, we're going to go ahead and leave it in its current situation in order to begin preparing for the next flight from our intrepid little Kerbals. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this flight here, and we're going to go back to the Space Center. And let's go ahead and take a look at what the other companies have been working on. Now, while Hexadine had the quickest turnaround because they were designing a new, they were just designing a modified version of the ship that they already had, Draxx has designed for themselves a basic sort of survey ship that they intend to launch. It's a basic mining platform that they intend to launch to the moon. And as you can see, it's got all of the moon mining equipment here. However, it does have some serious flaws. Primarily among those being the actual thrust force of this engine. It does not handle well with the weight that's there. And so let's go in and look at what's inside the service bay here. Alright, we got they're called fairings, that's what they're called. Alright, I can never remember stuff like that for some reason, so we'll delete the fairing for now. So, and open the service bay. And as you can see, they've got a little bit of monopropellant. They've got a small holding tank for the ore and small tanks for the metal ore that the other drills will pick up. This system does have some limitations, but we'll go ahead and close this back up and we'll reload it as it was. And so this vehicle did not require as much development as like Aries is trying to develop a basic space station that they're going to put up. So this ship is easily capable of getting to the moon. And so let's change out the flag here. So this is a Draxx vessel. And let's go ahead and get this one launched as well. And of course, again, this is also being launched from the Kerbal Space Center because there has not been any major conflict or secrecy necessary as of yet, but all of the companies are on relatively good terms with each other. They just have a difference of opinion on what should be done next. So here we're going to go ahead and launch this one. This is the first launch of the probe for, I'm going to unlock that so that we can get a good early turn. somebody told me that this might be too aggressive, but I'm actually hoping that I can get this relatively well to get a good use of the overth effect, because some of my previous designs had to go straight up for an extended period of time before they could start turning, and so they wasted a lot of fuel. Okay, so we are pushing up and solid booster rockets are about to give out. There we go. Solid booster rockets have given out. We're going to give them just a little bit more time. And now we're going to drop them. Alright. Oh! We still lost one. Oh well. Oh. Can't have them all, I guess. So this is, of course, and we're going to throttle this back up, and we're going to go ahead and push, since we're in the upper atmosphere. We're going to go ahead and push on our 45-degree angle and continue for orbit. Now this again is a two-stage rocket, one stage for getting it primarily into an orbital trajectory, and one for getting it to the moon. So we're going to cut the engine and go to the moon, or the map rather, and begin adding our maneuver node. Okay, apoapsis 180. Okay, that's too much. 102, 12. That's not nearly enough. 112. Okay, 105. 167. 128, 101. Okay, that will have to do. Get us into position. Give it just a little bit of engine force. Turn on RCS and deploy the shell. Come on, get her into position. You got less than a minute. Okay, come on. Alright. So now, okay, 38 seconds. Fire. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, there appears to obviously be some bit of a problem here. Let's unlock that. Get it back on target. Okay. We've gone ahead and released that stage. And this should give us the appropriate altitude for a burn. Come on. It seems to be that there's a little bit of imbalance in this system that makes it less than happy to burn for us. But we do have a successful burn. Let's go ahead and check our orbit. Okay, we ended up with 101 and 2. Okay, wow. So that's a fairly high trajectory. So let's go ahead and set our target for the moon. And I think you have to do it from this point right here. So basically we're going to be thrusting from apoapsis. And nope, just slightly after. So let's start giving it a good launch. That's not giving us what we want, so let's... Okay, there we go. And that will give us... Let's give it just slightly more, so 189. That will do. And let's go ahead and, since this is now going to need power, we do have it equipped with these retractable panels. So let's keep them going here. I'll go ahead and start extending all of its panels. Now these are the ones that once you extract them, they can't go back in. So this thing will never be able to tuck those away anymore. But we're going to need the power as we go along, because we need to conserve as much fuel in this engine as possible for our landing. So let's go ahead and reposition. I think there's some design flaws in this ship because it really does turn like a boat, which is considerably annoying. But hopefully we can resolve that issue. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward us to the actual launch window, which will be in 19 minutes, and I don't want to have to wait that long. So let's go ahead and... Alright, we're in position. So we're going to go ahead and... Now I know that a lot of people are way better than me, and I actually added into this one, I added mech jab since I upgraded to 1.0.4, because I really do suck at this game. I'm terrible with orbital mechanics, and especially landings. I have an entire, like, 3 gigs of video footage of me botching landings just horribly. Okay, and we're getting ready to get this into position, and it's ready to launch. And we're gonna... I always use that estimated burn time, and this one, when they match, that's when I kick on my boosters, because I want it to burn so that when it reaches the necessary speed, it's at the point of the maneuver node. Because I feel that that is the most ideal situation. Because then you see, there it's going, and it's... Once it gets there, it will have the necessary speed that it's supposed to have, and thus I will actually, maybe, actually have a pretty close to accurate setting of how I'm going to do this. And I better throttle back just a little bit. Alright, we overshot just a tiny bit, but that's okay. Take that out. Overshot our estimation just a little bit, but I gave myself enough room for that to start with. Oh, that panel did not extend. Okay, that panel is now extended. And we still even have enough fuel for maybe some braking along the way. This puts us at about 24 minutes or so, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick save. This puts us at about 25 minutes or so, so I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here, and we will pick up the next episode as the Draxx ore lander prepares to make its acquaintance with the moon. Until then, I'm Wrath, and I'll catch you on the flip side.